Ladies and gentlemen, Lou Valino and I here at the home office in Eastern Ohio, and I'm so honored to have with us right now, joining us on the Comcast Newsline. He is Bill Green, political analyst. He is the guy, CBS Radio, News Radio 1020, KDKA, and he'll be with me, if his schedule permits, at about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right after local news. But I had to get him here tonight. Why? Because of the House Republicans passing a tax proposal today, a major step forward for the House GOP that has thus far been unable to deliver any major piece of legislation with President Donald Trump at the helm. The House passed the bill 227 to 205, with 13 Republicans joining every Democrat in opposing the measure, which would lower individual tax brackets, dramatically cut the corporate tax rate from 35 to 20%, and nearly double the standard deduction while eliminating a slew of smaller write-offs. So let's begin with this question, Mr. Green. The Republicans may be celebrating the passage of their tax plan, but the public perception is still less than stellar. So forget about what they have to do convincing those in politics. What about convincing the general public?
Well, they're going to have to do a major marketing campaign, first of all, to get a lot of the bill that the House passed also passed through the Senate. I think at that point, whenever we have a bill that will accommodate both the House and the Senate, then they've got to do a heck of a selling job. I also think that once they do this, and I think they're going to do it by the end of the year, Rob, too, and thank you for having me on your program. I think when we actually get the forms, because this bill is supposed to take effect 1/18, so 7 weeks from now or so, and if that's the case, when we get our new forms, and they're supposed to be, a single piece of paper or like a postcard, I think the impact of the simplicity of the bill will impact people once they see it. They're reacting to media reports that have a tendency to highlight one thing versus another, and not the entire new rewrite of the tax code. I think people have to give it some time to realize what's in the bill, and I think when they see it, they'll like it.
In fact, about 25% of Republicans believe they will pay less as a result of the measure, and still 47% of Americans believe the president will pay less. They just won't let that man alone. I don't know why. He's out there working for the American people. The president came to Capitol Hill today to push the yes vote and also talk about his recent trip to Asia. Now, my question to you, Bill Green, is why do the same Republicans who have appeared doubtful from the beginning over concerns about eliminating the state and local tax deductions, mostly from high-tax states such as New York and New Jersey, end up voting yes for this? What's your thought process on that?
Well, I think that they realize that all tax reductions are going to have a benefit, and I think that it was better to go with the total bill, part of the bill. The other thing to keep in mind, Rob, what went from the House to the Senate not look a lot like it's supposed to in the final version. Once this goes to the Senate has its own bill, right? They're going to pass their legislation, and then we're going to have a conference committee. So we'll have members of the Senate and members of the House get together and iron out a final piece of legislation. And whatever that will be, which will be highlights from both of them, I think that will be the final bill. And this interest thing that we talk about on state taxes, that might take a different shape in the final bill.
Hey, don't forget, coming up Sunday, the great Jim Meredith, Heffron Tillotson, Your Money and You, one of Barron's top 100 financial advisors, Belinda Schlagenhop, Mary Ann Siebert, Heffron Tillotson, Your Money and You. We've been talking a lot about these tax cuts in the last couple of weeks, and with this recent news, I'm sure he'll be talking about it again in his morning commentary, and Jamie Meredith has the Ask the Advisor segment in the second hour as well. Now, even California Republicans, Bill, many of them who will be serving areas with high taxes already, got on board. But my question is, the Senate is still a significant hurdle for Republican Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. I talked about this earlier today, has come out against the Senate version of the bill. Senator Susan Collins of Maine, who's been in the news of late, also seems unlikely to vote for it. Now, it includes a repeal mandate for Obamacare.
Right.
The GOP can currently afford to lose only 2 Republicans on this measure, with Vice President Mike Pence being the tie-breaking vote to get to the finish line. But now you got something else in the mix, too. The Senate is also dealing with a special election in Alabama. Democrat Doug Jones is polling ahead of Republican Roy Moore after all of these allegations of late. The Senate, by the way, is aiming to pass the bill before the December 12th special election. My question is, can they get any of that done to get this done in the Senate, which a lot of people believe is going to be a very long road to haul?
Well, I think that once they convince some of these senators the fact that the bill they're going to vote for Senate will still not be the final bill. Again, I come back to the fact that the final bill has yet to be seen. The House version is one version, the Senate version is another, but there'll be a conference committee that will iron out all the differences, and I believe that the best of both bills will be the final bill. And things that are in it that both sides don't like will be taken out, or that one side doesn't like will be taken out. And I think the best will be there. Look, it's not going to be a perfect piece of legislation. You put 435 or 535 members of Congress together, you're not going to get a single piece of legislation you're going to agree on. There's going to be a lot of difficulty with it, and it'll probably take amendments down the road. But the fact that we're dealing in actual tax reform for the first time in like 30 years, or 1939, I think I saw today, is a major accomplishment by this Congress. So there can be critics out there. There'll always be critics out there. Bobby Kennedy once had a very profound statement, Rob. He said 20% of the American public is against everything. And so if we always keep that in mind, you're always going to have critics of this. And you can pick at this and pick at that, but I think overall this is going to be a good piece of legislation and an economic booster for the country.
Listen, in closing, Bill Green, hopefully 2 o'clock hour tomorrow, but I'm going to be talking all about this and everything else, including the latest on Rory Moore and other stories developing out of the nation's capital tomorrow, noon to 3 when I'm in for Mike Pintek, and I hope you'll call in. You definitely are the big reason why those shows work on radio at 866-391-1020, Dollar Bank Instant Access, KDKA.com. But my question to you is, and I know Mike Pintek, if he were here, he would say the same thing. I don't think we've had this type of president who was always in that moving forward, plowing and working mode as this president. Like him or not, you cannot say there is the reason of lack of effort why stuff that he has not put on the table has not got done. And I think it's a lot to do with the president, why we are talking about this GOP House bill, this tax reform plan that passed today by that vote, Bill.
Oh, sure. He promised this in his campaign. And in my lifetime, I've never known a Republican not to want a tax cut and not to want a rewrite of the tax code. We've been talking about lowering corporate taxes for years, both Democrats and Republicans. This bill actually does that. And corporations need a break. They're taxed at 35%, the highest in the world, and they're supposed to generate jobs from that. That's not possible. Lowering it by 15% will create jobs. We'll put more money into the tax of the Treasury, the tax funds of the Treasury, and that's why I think it'll do economic good. I also think that it brings a moral uplift if we actually give something back to the people that put all this money into stuff. So I think that this is something to be celebrated, that Congress can do this, and I'm hoping that the Senate does likewise, and that the conference bill will be something that will be uniformly liked, and maybe even some Democrats will vote for it. So I don't think a piece of legislation like this should only be done by one party. I think both parties should be involved in this so they both can take ownership of it. But if one party keeps to stay out of it, then the other party is going to get all the credit for lowering taxes and rewriting the tax code.
Last thing for Bill Green, talking about today's news, the House Republicans passed tax proposal to vote 227-205. They argued a bit, filibustered a bit, but in the end the Republicans did adjust the legislation to allow filers to write off the first $10,000 on their property tax. That's a good piece of news right there alone, that this, I do believe, will help the middle class, which I call the working class, get back to the middle class. Bill, and we'll end on that note.
Well, I agree, and particularly in Pennsylvania, you know how property taxes are such a thing that we have because the schools rely on them, and that shouldn't be the case, but it is right now. But to get a discount on that from the federal government is a great improvement and something you're right. Everybody gets to enjoy. Bill
Green, thank you for your time, sir. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. Take care, Rob.
We'll be back. Cassidy Emmanuel in a moment, talking Steelers football with Ty Ballou.